So apparently I live in one of the happiest countries in the world. That is as good reason as any to put on this and pretend to be a Viking. I've been thinking about why that is, and I think there's some reasons that I can talk about, and since this is the internet, I have for your viewing pleasure compiled my reasons into a numbered list. Number 1 is lagom. It's a word in the Swedish language that means not too much and not too little, but just enough. There is a running gag between us Swedes that this is the one word that defines us as a nation. Whether it comes to our social life or economy, lagom is our comfort zone. Some people really don't like the concept of lagom because it's really close to something called Jantelagen, which is the unwritten rule that you shouldn't try to stand out from the crowd and don't think that you're better than others, which is something that has been a very big part of Swedish culture for a really long time. But today it has something of a negative connotation, because why wouldn't you want and strive to be exceptional? So is lagom good or bad? I don't know, I'll leave that up to you, but I think it has a part in how we see the world. Closely related to lagom is number 2 on this list. I don't think we see ourselves as particularly happy, more like content. Maybe your place of work isn't the best, but meh, it's okay. Someone cut in front of you in the queue, you get a little annoyed, but it's not worth the energy of confrontation. Having a happy life doesn't mean you're running around feeling excited and laughing all the time, because that sounds exhausting. I think that being able to be content is the root of the happiness in my life. Number 3 on this list is that we are a communal people. We are absolutely willing to give up a little bit of our own comfort if that makes the place more comfortable for everyone. And I think this is why we are okay with our high taxes, because even if it's a little uncomfortable now, it benefits everyone. I grew up with free education and free health and dental care, and when I'm old and need care, that burden won't ever fall on my son. So right now, in the middle of my life, it's my turn to help carry this society. It's giving back to what you have been given. As number 4, I have listed social security, because of course, not having to worry about things you might have to in other places, that will of course bump you up a little bit on the list of happiest countries. For number 5, I want to talk about the weather, especially here in the north. We're living in darkness almost 24/7 for half the year. Seasonal depression disorder is like the common cold here. A lot of people get it every year. So in a very literal sense, we are forced to accept dark times, and we know that they will end. And maybe this have affected our thinking in other places as well. And for number 6, similarly, we know to enjoy the sun and good times when they do come around, and try to make the most of that. Number 7, we trust in science and conform to the latest research. And as a result, a lot of people that used to maybe be treated poorly are getting less and less treated so. For example, transgendered individuals. If one research show that men and women have different brains, and then another research show that trans people have the brain of their experienced gender, then we will accommodate that, even though everyone don't understand it on a personal level. But speaking of trans rights, Sweden did have forced sterilization of trans people as late as 2013. All these big changes in equality and human rights are thanks to incredible people that keeps fighting in just systems and laws. Similarly, I think we have come pretty far in gender equality, and no matter who you are, not being forced into a box will probably make you more happy. Women have every opportunity to pursue their dreams, and men are not forced into this emotionless square box of macho. At least not as much as it seems to be in other places. And sharing chores and childcare, it's not even a question. I actually think it's something that a lot of men take pride in and enjoy. When our little one was brand new, Vin used to take him out for a walk around the lake every morning so I could sleep, and he said that every morning it was like dad patrol, all the dads going with strollers. But of course, this is not true for everyone. And when it comes to other places of equality, like racial equality, I think we have a long way to go. Number 9, access to nature. Have you heard about Japanese forest bathing? Well, apparently, research show that spending time in nature gives all sorts of health benefits, both mentally and physically. So, a Japanese trend, I think, is that they go out and sit in a forest, and it's called forest bathing. We call this the weekend. Of course, Sweden is a really long country, and it greatly depends on where you live, but even down south in the capital, a lot of people go north to the mountains at least once a year. There's this law in Sweden called Allemansritten, which means the right to roam. Access to nature is seen as a basic human right, and we're allowed to hike everywhere and pick berries and mushroom everywhere, no matter who owns the land. There's some exceptions, of course, and it's also under a condition that you don't leave an impact on the place. You're not allowed to break any twigs or litter, and that's a rule that most people follow. For number 10, I want to talk about the Swedish view on respect. Like everything else, it's rooted in history. A long time ago, you weren't able to change your position in life. If you were poor, well, tough luck, that's the hand you're given. Then, boom, a quarter of the population emigrates to the United States to seek a better life. And with such a big chunk of the population gone, that's a lot of jobs that's not being done. And as you can probably tell, that's pretty catastrophic for a country. So as a result, and due to a lot of other things down in history, we have today's mindset that a society can't function if its citizens aren't happy. This leaks into everything we do. On the workplace, the fika breaks are sacred. Another big thing that changed our society is that we used to have this really complicated way to address each other due to social rank. But it was so easy to make a mistake that people started to take these long detours in their speech patterns, so they didn't have to directly address each other. Instead of asking things like, "Do you want sugar?" you would say something like, "Will there be any sugar to the coffee today?" And people still accidentally addressed each other in the wrong way. And the whole social hierarchy in the language got this really negative connotation. So eventually people were like, well, whatever, and just starting to address each other in one way and be on a first name basis. Having absolutely no social hierarchy in your speech, it erases the need to have a social hierarchy, if that makes sense. In many ways, your boss is just another coworker that are in charge of planning. Respect goes both ways. So that's my 10 reasons. I don't know, what do you think? Let me know and take what you need from this video, and until next time, take care. Bye.